everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the vlog. Now, I've had the Tesla on the road a little over 3 weeks now, and in that 3 weeks that I've owned this car, I've been driving this car, there's some things that I really like about the car, and there are certain things that I don't like so much. So in this episode, in this video, we're going to talk about 5 things that I hate about the Tesla. Now, I think perhaps the word hate is a little too strong. So let's just say 5 things that I dislike about this car. And a couple of those 5 things we're going to actually put right today. So let's get on the way and let's discuss the 5 things that really irritate me about the Tesla. And before we continue, for those of you who were tuning in to see the TTS, I promise you that is coming. I just need to make sure that I got all the bits for that car so we can just get on with the project and not have any delays, and that's the reason why I'm just putting it off for maybe a week or two, but we are definitely going to get in a TTS. I'm dying to get that car on the road. Alright, so 5 things about the Tesla that irritate me. Number 1, the infotainment system. Now, what irritates me about the infotainment system, let me show you. Okay, so you're looking at the center screen of my Tesla, and as you can see, it's a wonderful big color screen with lots of information about the car. But here's the thing, the car has its own infotainment system, and you'd think that the Tesla system would be the best infotainment system in the world, but it is far from that. It is perhaps, in my opinion, the worst. Now, most manufacturers, they have their own generic system that you're able to connect your phone up to, like this, and then you can play your music through it. But they will also support Apple CarPlay and Android Auto Car, or whatever it's called. You can tell I'm an Apple guy, can't you? This does not support that. And there has been lots and lots of requests by Tesla fans, but Tesla refused to put that in there. So the only option that you have is to connect your phone via Bluetooth. The problem with that was when you connect your car, and I'm not sure if this is the same in the later model, but certainly in this 2014 model, I can connect my car, I can play music for it, but I can't control via this here. So if I look, my car is connected and I cannot play and I cannot do anything with it. It will not respond. I literally have to get my phone and I have to literally play via this. There you go. And that's how you do it. Now, even on the steering wheel here, we've got the controls here, but if I press those controls, what it does, it actually turns the radio on. It doesn't flick the track. So you see the temptation here is to pick up your phone, which is illegal, and then obviously play the music. So what I tend to do is I leave the phone in my bag, so I can't do that. And that is just, you'd think a car like this and the cost that they would do that. So that is definitely one of my biggest gripe with this car. Now, the car does support other means of audio. So for example, I can on the audio side of it, I can pick Spotify or Tidal, or there's an FM radio, and there's also tuning. But all of these services are quite poor. So the radio, it supports DAB, but the DAB keeps on cutting out because the antenna is not all that good, and the same with the FM radio. The sound quality on this thing, this has got the premium speakers on there, is superb. You cannot fault the sound on here, but just the input sources are really poor. And even on the actual, I've got a USB here that I can plug into, even on that, it's poor. The only way that you can possibly do it is to get your music, pull it onto a USB stick, and then allow it to be uploaded onto the hard drive. So you think a car of this value would have a much better system? It doesn't. Now, I know the later cars have a better system, but on the older car, particular this, it's poor. I use Amazon Music to listen to my music, but even with iTunes, it's exactly the same. I cannot control the music. I have to basically listen to my playlist and lay a play through in order to do so. So come on, Tesla, you could do better. The second thing that really irritates me about the Tesla is the lack of diagnostic software. Oh, let me rephrase that. The lack of the ability to get hold of diagnostic software. Now, Tesla have Toolbox 3, which is online. They had Toolbox 2, which you can't get hold of. You probably can if you go down the dark web or something, but it's not readily available. So the only option available to you is Toolbox 3. To get Toolbox 3, you need to have a special cable that connects the car to your laptop, and then you connect to Toolbox 3. Now, Toolbox 3 is on a subscription basis, and when I say subscription, you pay, I think it's something like £80 for an hour or £150 for 3 hours, something like that. That's a lot of money just to be able to understand what the problem is. Now, Tesla are in their own right to do so. They are perfectly entitled to do so, because they will say, they're making the software available to you, but it's coming to you at a premium cost. But it certainly does put you off trying to fix your car. Fortunately, there are some other vendors out there that are offering cables that will work with your car and allow you to do basic diagnostics. And the basics we're talking about is some of the battery, and that's probably the most crucial. And our friends at GenDan, they've provided me with this cable here, and also with this OBD link too, which will show how that works. There's a couple of apps with that, but it's a fantastic tool allowing you to be able to see how your battery is performing. That's quite vital, particularly when you consider my car is an 8-year-old car, so I want to make sure that the battery's in tip-top condition, but it's very good for diagnosing any issues as well. Now, GenDan is a company that we've been working with for a number of years. They provided all of my equipment for my Audis, so my VCDS, and all the cabling kit to do so. They are the best when it comes to diagnostic tools, and they are extremely helpful and will full of advice. So if you want any diagnostic tools, then use GenDan, and I'll put a link below for you to be able to go to their site and to be able to see this. And if you've got a Tesla on, you can get these cables from them as well. And of course, the OBD Link MX Plus is a generic, well, it's not a generic, it's a pretty good OBD link, but it allows us to talk using various software, and there's a couple of links that I'll put down below that you could use, and that will hook you up and allow you to be able to see the batteries on here. So this basically connects to the OBD socket, and then this here connects into the Tesla, and I'll show you that in a second how that looks in the car. Okay, so to get access to the OBD, or the diagnostic port, down the bottom of the tray where you've got the tray for storing rubbish, you got this cubby hole just underneath the MCU here, the screen, and literally what you do is you pull it down like that, move that out of the way, and then you will see in here this cable here. So essentially, the cable that you get from GenDan, that will plug into here like so. And then of course our OBD, as you can see, will then come to life. We've got our Bluetooth flashing, and we've got our power, and that way we can then connect to our app. So we'll do that now. Okay, so on screen now you can see the Scan My Tesla apps connected via my OBD 11, which is, as we mentioned, has been my OBD Link MX, which is provided by GenDan along with the cable. So Scan My Tesla, it costs about $7.99 for the tool. Basically, it gives you a lot of information about what's happening with your car. So this is an alternative to Toolbox, which is the Tesla tool, but here we get a lot of information such as our battery cooling, powertrain coolant as well, so I can actually see the temperature. That's something that you don't normally see in the car. We can see how much power that we're using. Now we're stationary at the moment, so we're using pretty much 1 kilowatt. There's our 12 volt system that's in place there. Here's our capacity, so this is how many kilowatt battery charge we have got. So the car is saying that we've got 142 miles in range. The app is showing us what we got in kilowatts. There is just loads and loads of different settings here. I could go on and bore you for hours if you really wanted me to. but it's an essential app if you want to see what some of the the parameters that your car is giving out, particularly if you're driving, so you can have this up on a dashboard while you're driving, and you'll be able to see exactly what the car is doing and what it's actually using. Now there is actually a battery tester as well. It shows you the battery cells on this. I'm not quite sure because I've only started playing with this today, but I'll probably in a later video I can show you exactly what that is. But a very valuable tool nonetheless. Okay, dislike number 3, the woolly suspension on the car. So my car is the Performance 85 Plus car, edition of the Tesla Model S. Now you'd think with the word performance that this car will handle like a dream. I mean, it's wide enough and low enough. It has the air suspension on there, which I can lower as well to make the car more taut as well, and it's got sport steering. But there is just no feedback on the road. It just feels like you're driving a big bus. And in some circumstances it feels a little bit unpredictable as well. Now again, there could be a number of reasons why that is. It could be that the suspension, the near side that got hit, we've still got the strut to replace, and the reason why I haven't replaced the strut up to now is because of the fact that it's been so difficult to get hold of one, plus the fact they're really expensive, like £800 for a brand new one. So I'm trying to find a really decent used one so I can fit onto the car, and thankfully I have now have one coming over shortly that will be delivered and will be fitting a car. You'll see me fit it as well because it's quite an interesting process that you have to use, and hopefully that will improve the car or the handling on the vehicle. But there's another thing that it could be the cause, and we're going to take a look at that in a moment. But it really doesn't give you or inspire you that with confidence when you're driving around in corners. It doesn't quite let go, but it certainly doesn't feel as sure-footed, so you kind of take corners a little bit more gingerly. Now it could be that I've been used to driving a 4x4, the S3, and even that's not really a true 4x4 because it's got the Haldex system, but it certainly oozes confidence, the S3. This doesn't quite do that. But like I said, it could be because of the suspension, it could be the tyres, because the tyres, although they're okay, and they're Michelin Pilot 4s on there all around, they are a little worn, and they could do a replacement, but I'm just going to get my money's worth out of them because they're quite expensive. £225 the last time I checked per boot. So that's quite expensive. But anyway, this could be the reason why that I'm going to show you now on the near side, one of the struts coming down. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so you remember I said about the suspension? I think we may have figured out why. That whole mechanism down there is moving and it should be solid. So that shouldn't be doing that. Let's go and check the other side and see if that does the same as well. Right, I just checked the bottom of this one here, and this one does exactly the same. It does move, but there is a difference. When you tap the suspension here, just behind here, there isn't a noise, whereas on the other side there is a noise, and I think that's where it is. It's in the suspension. So I've got a new one coming, so we'll replace the other side of this. So that's fine. So that suspension is due to be changed in the next couple of weeks. Okay, so number 4, the fourth thing that irritates me about the Tesla. It is the fastest car that I've ever owned. This car does 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds, which is amazingly fast. And it has 400 Newton meters of torque. So the minute you touch the accelerator, the car goes. You're good. But not only that, when you're doing 40, 50, 60 miles an hour and you put your foot down further, the car goes. It is exhilarating, the acceleration, but it's just a boring car to drive. Having no engine sound is, it really does make the car boring. I mean, it's literally, and when you're cruising, it's nothing. There's no sound. There's no engine sounds to to, you know, embrace the experience of driving a powerful car like that. And do you know what? You can actually buy a sound emulator for the Tesla. It costs about £2 to do it, but it's completely pointless. I mean, why would you do that? Some people do it, but it's not something that I certainly will venture down. But other than that, with no sound, I mean, you'd certainly hear all the tires and the road noise and every bang and buck that the car makes. You hear that, but because there's no engine sound to enjoy, and I think part of driving, in fact, I know that part of driving is to hear the sound of the engine working its way through the gears. That's one of the reasons why I love driving the S3, because you get that DSG gear change that you get when you got the car in sports mode. That's one of the reasons why I love the TTRS, because of that fifth cylinder, and it's almost like a musical note. And that's the reason why I like V8s and V12s, because they make such a wonderful sound. And that's the bit that's missing from the Tesla. With all the power and all the pull that it has, that missing vital element, that of an engine sound, just takes away some of the joy of driving a car. Now, and I know a lot of you might think, well, you're driving a Tesla, it's such a wonderful car, and it is. I in no way regret buying that car. It is a wonderful car. But this is just, you know, with all cars that you buy, you get to a point that you get comfortable with a car, then you start looking at the things that perhaps, you know, irritate you. And this is one of the things there. But I do enjoy driving the car, and it is a nice thing to have. And I am really privileged to own a Tesla, but I just wish it made more noise. Okay, so number 5. This is the last thing that I find annoying about the Tesla. In fact, I'm going to show you what number 5 is, because describing it doesn't do its justice. Let me show you what the 5th thing that irritates me. And these, I've given you, these irritations are not in any particular order. They're just in the order I can remember. So let me show you number 5. Number 5 is the lack of center console. In fact, there's a couple of things that are lacking in the Model S. Number 1, you have no door pockets at all. Now, all my driving life, all the cars that I've ever owned have had door pockets. The Tesla does not have door pockets. That's a minor irritation. In fact, it might be a serious irritation. But this, I thought this is going to be great, but it is so annoying not having any console here, because you have these cup holders here, but they're in the wrong place. Because when you put your arm there, when you're driving, and you've got your arm rest there, if you've got a cup there, you tend to knock it. So it's really irritating. It should be down there. And in fact, in the newer Model S's, they've actually given up on this concept and put this console in place. So you've got these cup holders here, which you can cover, and they make really good stuff. But like I said, it's just too high, and when you're driving, it's just really awkward. Plus, anything inside here, because of the way that this car can accelerate, they just go up and down, up and down. Now these are grips. They do grip stuff, but not everything. So I had my camera down here the other day, and it was sliding back and forth. Plus, if you put your phone, I mean, I tend to put my phone in here because it's more secure, because if I put my phone, it will just slide up and down. Now, you do have this little pocket here, but it's not really deep enough to put your phone without losing it. And I've got my cloth here, which I would normally have in my side pocket over there. And you just think, why did you do this? Plus, if you have anything here overnight, it's on display. So you either got to pull it in the glove box, which is pretty small, because it's a glove box, or you've got to take it away and put it in the boot. I keep this clear all the time because I don't want to distract anybody. So yeah, and you may have heard this as well. These seats, they're not the most comfortable, but I'm not really bothered about seats. But I must admit, they aren't that comfortable. And for sports seats, they don't offer much support. So if you're trying to go around a corner pretty quickly, you are sliding back and forth. They are leather and they are electric, but that's my only gripe with the seat. But my main issue is this console here. But we might have a fix for that. Let me show you now. So, in this box is a package sent to me by Taptairs. Now, if you don't know who Taptairs are, I'll put a link down below, but they provide aftermarket parts for Teslas, and they're well renowned for their quality parts, and they've sent me a central console. So let's take a look and see what's inside. Okay, so this is the Taptes center console that they do for the Model S. This one was sent to me by them, and first impression, very good. I like the fact that we've got this console here, which is where you can store all your stuff that you don't want people to see, and then obviously you can close the door and then it's out of sight. But you've also got this back piece here. Now here's the hole for the cigarette lighter, and here's the USB ports that are originally for the Tesla, so you can put your phone here, which is perfect. That's what you want. And this has got the same rubber grips that is on the ground on the Tesla, but bonus, you can then shut that up and it's a nice completely clear unit. And then you've got underneath here, we will remove this. This is like a piano. Such satisfying sound removing that. So that's a piano black panel, which is great. It also comes with these little side panels which have the white stitching on them, and then these obviously bolt on the side, and that covers up very nicely this side trim, so it just looks very OEM. But let's see what it looks like in the car. Okay, so first attempt to fit this was a fail. Let me show you why. So you got this flap here, and what this does, this can actually move back and forth. So because it's sticking out so much, it's preventing this from sticking in underneath the flap here. So this Tesla must have a slightly different design to the stock one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove the screws on the side here. We'll take this flap off, we'll fit it in, and then we'll put this back in. And this has actually got some adjustment, and what this does is it allows you to lock the console in place when it sits in, because otherwise it will move around a little bit, and then we can put the side panels on. So let's get this off first, and then we'll attempt to fit it again. Right, she's now in. We fasten up the ends there, and we put this panel back in. You probably won't need to go through all that rigmarole. We did just because we could. And in the end, what I found was just to swivel it around the side here, and then it went in okay. So although it wouldn't go straight in, if you wiggle it to the side, it will actually go in. Right, so next we're going to stick the panels on, and then that should be it. Should be all ready, and we'll show you what the final product looks like. Okay, there you go, all done. So once it's in place and once you've got the side panels on, it's pretty sturdy, and as you can see, the side panels, they go in really nicely on both sides, so you wouldn't know that this wasn't OEM. Right, so we got our door here, our piano door here, which shuts. Make sure you got your cloth with you, because every time you open this you're gonna have to clean it, just to maintain it look. And then of course we got our shutter here. Look at that. That looks so much better. That's the way Tesla, that is the way they build them now. And then to open it, we just press down on that, and then it opens up nice and smoothly. So, and then here you just click on it and it opens open. Then you can put your phone here, which is the way your phone should be, and then you got your charging ports just there, and your 12 volt, all still accessible, which is fantastic. So I am so pleased with that, and I want to thank Tapters for sending this to me, because I tell you what, it is brilliant, it really is. And they do a whole lot of accessories, so you can get a tray that goes on here. Basically it slots on the top here, and then you put your phone in there. You can keep your phone out of view, but they also do a charger as well, so you can, if you know, you can do cordless charging on your phone, which is brilliant. And that goes here as well, so you've got a nice little vanity tray. And then of course you get 2 cup holders. I've got one at the moment, and it just uses the bottom of the existing tray there, so you can stick a whole lot of stuff in here. My wife left her umbrella here out of the car, we can stick that in there as well. And then I got my other tray that can fit in there as well, and probably I can put my Joby, look at that, that's my stand for my camera, that can go in there along with my phone, and then everything is secure and out of sight. Brilliant, love it, absolutely love it, perfect. And that just finishes off the Tesla. Have a look, nicely. So there you have it, 5 things that I dislike about my Model S. Of course, there are many more things that I like about my Model S that will go on in another video. But those are just 5 of the little irritation. We'll do another video looking at some of the things that I love about this, and there are many of those. But in the meantime, I want to thank our 2 sponsors, GenDan, for providing us the diagnostic cable and the OBD Link MX as well. Thanks very much for that grant, and I'll put a link to GenDan below, and also Tapters for providing the center console. Again, both of those suppliers, check out their sites and have a look at the products they do, because they both do very high quality products, and I want to thank them very much for their valuable contribution to this episode. In the meantime, if you are a casual subscriber, don't forget to click on the subscribe button. Click on the bell notification so that you know when we notify you of a new video. Like and share this, and give us a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content. We will definitely look forward to seeing you on the next one. Have a good week.